All right, good evening, everyone. I am going to get started in a couple seconds. People will be rolling in for the next few seconds or so. So we will get started in about 1 minute. So good evening and welcome. All right, more people are joining. We'll get started in just a couple seconds. So we're just going to allow more people to come into the meeting and we'll get started in about 1 minute.
Shannon, could you share the link to the meeting? I have a parent emailing me asking for it.
I will go grab that.
Awesome, thank you.
Sorry.
Okay.
We're in the meeting, so it's a little tricky. I will get there.
Hey, Lauren, I'm seeing that the attendees list for me says 0. Is that the case for other people?
So we have, yes. So I think,
I think everybody
Terrible.
somehow has the link to jump in, and now that we're live, they are coming in as full attendees, and we're a nice small group, so I think that may work.
yes.
Although that's my fault, folks. So my apologies for some quirkiness here. And Lauren has not been cloned by many people. So if you're joining us, I'm going to ask you to look in the upper right-hand corner of your box. And there are 3 dots. And if you would click on that, you can choose rename. And we'd love to know who's here with us. My apologies. Sometimes tech works great, and sometimes I make a mistake. So my apologies. But it would be nice to know who's here with us.
Yeah.
So we'll give folks a moment for that. While we're thinking about technology, if you are not a regular Zoom user, you can control how you see the screen and the real estate. So in the upper right-hand corner, there is a 9-dot waffle block. And if you click on that, you can choose how you view your screen. We've got everybody in with their cameras on right now, but when we move into slide sharing, you may want to see just the speaker and the slide happening. So there is that.
Great. So thank you, Shannon. We will go ahead and get started. I think that we are maybe having a little bit of technical difficulties with the link, but I think we will work our way through it. And the good news is we are recording this evening. So we will be able to share this out with our larger community after. So I'd like to formally welcome you to our community meeting this evening. For those of you that I may not have had the opportunity to meet yet, my name is Lauren McBride. I am the I'm the principal here at Burlington High School. We are really excited to be offering this community meeting tonight to give you a little bit of a look behind the scenes of all of the things that are happening at BHS. It's been an amazing year with a lot of change and a lot of movement forward. And we recognize that with the challenges of COVID and just the kind of state of where we are, that it's been hard to welcome people into our building. And so we found this to be a really amazing opportunity to welcome you in a different way, to at least have you hear about some of the work that's happening behind the scenes and projects that are underway. So that is the focus of our time together tonight. So let me do this. I'm sorry, I'm doing the slides and I'm trying to make sure that you all can see with my screen the way it is. Okay, so a little bit about what we're going to be doing this evening. We'll be doing some introductions of who is on our panel this evening. We will be doing a restorative practice opening that you'll see as part of our introductions. And then we're going to really jump into our main agenda. That's some updates of programming that's happening, some updates from different departments and the work that's happening there, a little bit about our capital improvements, our climate and culture and learning environment. So we're going to just kind of take back that curtain and bring you in to let you know all of the good things that are happening within our community. We are going to, so this are, you'll see on this slide, these are the panelists that we have here with us this evening. We have our leadership team comprised of Melanie Alexander, Francesca Dupuy, Kate Paxton, Levar Barino, Q Pinckney, and Norm Trombley, and Shannon Walters. So we're excited to have everyone here this evening. And so here, what we thought we would do, knowing that you entrust or that you send your amazing children to come to BHS every day to learn and engage in their education, we thought we would kind of like have some fun with this and go back to find some pictures of us and relate back to us in high school. So here's just a little bit about who we are. So again, I'm Lauren McBride, she, her, hers. I grew up in Portsmouth, Rhode Island, and went to Portsmouth Abbey School. And you can see some different pictures of me from my senior year. And then also, you know, I played 3 different sports at high school. And here's a picture of trying to channel the current season of me playing hockey. I'm the one that's right here. So that's kind of fun. And I don't know that I've put on skates that much since. So, and then we wanted to just also say, like, we asked the question to our team tonight, what part of working at BHS do you love the most? And so my response is like, I don't really know where to begin because I love all the aspects of being within our community, the connecting with students, being able to see them, you know, walking through the halls in the cafeteria, being able to go into classes and seeing students interact with their learning authentically and with each other is something that I think is what, you know, what drove me to be in education and drives me to be where I am today is our students. I also love working alongside with our faculty and staff. We have an amazing faculty and staff at BHS. I feel so honored and humbled to be able to be part or be their leader at this time. I feel like it's amazing the level of expertise that exists within our school. And really our charge this year has been to enhance the opportunities for students at BHS. And our faculty is student-centered and has risen to the challenge to really try to think creatively and differently this year. And I'm really proud of them for that. Obviously, our community, being now even downtown, has allowed us to engage with our community in a lot of different meaningful ways. We're building community partnerships, which has been, you know, a lot of fun. And being able to meet people that want to come and support our students has been a really nice added bonus to this job. And I think something that I truly love is I am an instructional, I'm kind of a geek about instruction. And I love the ability to provide conditions and opportunities for our faculty and staff to explore new and innovative ways to approach instruction. Tomorrow I have the ability, or tomorrow, I'll rephrase that. Tomorrow I will be facilitating a retreat with our special education department. And that's some of the work that I love, is being able to think creatively and differently and create the conditions where they can reconstruct, refine, and look at instruction differently. So I feel incredibly lucky to have that opportunity here at BHS. And with that, I will turn it over to Melanie Alexander.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Lauren. So I am Melanie, she, her, hers. I am very new, actually, to Burlington and to Vermont, but this has been a wonderful change for me. I grew up in Brookline, Massachusetts, went to Brookline High School. There's one high school in Brookline, Massachusetts. That's the one I went to. And funny thing is that right now I am visiting my grandmother, who's 102 years old. So all these pictures I found at her house. So that is me when I'm really little. And who gave me that dress? I have no idea. But the picture on the bottom, that's my mom. And that's actually my graduation day from Brookline High School. So it's a true pleasure to go from one BHS to a better BHS. Don't tell anyone I said that. It's been a real wonderful change. And I absolutely adore this leadership team. I actually should have put that on my favorite part of working at BHS. this leadership team has been amazing. Second to none is the faculty. Working with faculty has been very humbling. People have been super welcoming, been very responsive to my needs as a new administrator and instructional leader, been very responsive, I think, to kids in school and their needs, trying to be creative to support all students. So that's been a real pleasure. I like to keep my office door open, and some people have said, why are you doing that? Like, there's kids that come in there. And I'm like, I want the kids in there, because I come in my office and they're actually laughing, they're having fun. So that's been a real joy in parts of my day, is to have kids come in and just want to kind of sit down and chat and not feel like they're quote unquote in trouble when they see me. I've been listening to some really important feedback from students. Some of it really positive, some of it very constructive. And I have been so pleased with how smart they are and how genuine they are in terms of what they think, what they feel, what changes they want to make. So that's been great. I've already talked about this admin team, and the support of the district for restorative practice is unparalleled. So I am learning every day from faculty and staff around RP, and that's been really educational and wonderful for me too. So thank you. And with that, I will pass it to Francesca Dupuy.
Thanks, Melanie. Good evening, everyone. My name is Francesca Dupuy, she, her, hers. This is a photo from my 8th grade yearbook. And I was actually able to find it because I've been recently finally cleaning out things from high school and middle and elementary school. So I was impressed that I actually was able to find this. Otherwise, I don't have no idea where my high school photo is. But I'm from Saugus, Massachusetts originally, and I attended Saugus High School. I went to UVM, which is how I ended up staying in Vermont. I went to UVM, and my first introduction to Burlington High School was in 2009 as an observer through the College of Ed program. And then I was able to participate in my teaching internship with 2 former BHS teachers in the history social studies department. So my first very introduction was as a student at UVM, and BHS automatically felt like the place that I wanted to be. So when a position opened up in 2011, I was very fortunate to not only just apply, but be offered the position. And so that's been my home. BHS has been my home since 2011, and I spent my first 10 years teaching in the classroom. And this is my first year officially as an administrator, as an assistant principal. So while I've been learning a lot and still have very much a lot to learn, I've been fortunate to be supported by the colleagues who were first my teaching colleagues, and also be supported by students who I already have a relationship with as families in the district. And so when thinking about what my favorite part of working at BHS, this was challenging because there's been so many memories already, and I identified first and foremost the community of BHS families and students, as well as the culture, because as I mentioned, like this is the only institution that I know post college, and this has been my career. And so when I was applying to this position over a decade ago, that's what made it easier for me to move back to Vermont and really establish this as my home. And that's what has become my home with my partner and our children. So the community has been just very warm and welcoming and taught me a lot. What I also really appreciate about working at BHS is the trust and flexibility in the curriculum in terms of from the teaching perspective. And that has been my experience specifically in the history and social studies department. And we've had a lot of room for experimenting, as well as reflection and growth, and trying to serve the education of our students, your students, as best to our abilities. So I really appreciate that trust and flexibility that previous administration has provided. I really enjoyed the candid conversations that we've had with students, even though they may be a little uncomfortable or difficult or shocking at times. I've really appreciated their candidness. And that's both as a teacher and administrator. And lastly, something that I've really appreciated and identified as a value of mine is the willingness for people to be vulnerable. I've really embraced vulnerability, and that's something that I've learned over time and also witnessed over time, that people embrace it. And again, even if it makes us uncomfortable, those vulnerable moments have been essential for difficult or earnest conversations and our growth overall. And that vulnerability is also true with students. And those are the people, students are the ones who have taught me the importance of vulnerability. So with that, I'm going to pass it to Kate. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Francesca. Hi, everyone. I'm Kate Paxton, and the pictures that you see up span from me in 9th grade to me in 12th grade, and I think sort of highlights the range of ages and developmental levels that we see in high school. It's hard to believe that, to me, that was the same person. But all of the ranges of experiences I had in high school are sort of represented there. My family was from, I was born in Boston, and my family moved out to Cincinnati, Ohio when I was a toddler. And I grew up in a little town right outside of Cincinnati called Wyoming, and went to the public schools in Wyoming. And then I came back east to go to college in Massachusetts and headed up to Vermont, which I had always loved as a child. I had family in Vermont and got my master's at UVM. And the first time I came up to the crest of the hill and saw the lake down below, I knew this was where I wanted to end up with my family. So I was thrilled to finally make it back this fall and start settling down roots with my 2 children. And my favorite parts of working at BHS, there are so many. I love the team, both the team of administrators on the leadership team and the faculty and the community. Having a group of people who share a vision is something that I learned a little bit about in my first teaching experiences working at a middle school in North Carolina, and is just the most amazing feeling to be passionate about something and to have a group of people to share that with, and to go through the trials and tribulations and also the successes as you're really trying to work toward your vision. I love that in my job as assistant principal of student supports, I really get to support our special ed and our English learners and our counseling departments and help different teams work on making the school community more inclusive for all of our students and families, and breaking down some of the silos that have kind of naturally creep up as people try to do their best in their smaller circles. In those teams, I have an opportunity to connect with families, and I love getting that bigger picture of how students are doing at home and in the community, and how we can work together to provide a continuum of supports. I love that BHS has a restorative culture and is focused on when students make mistakes, having an orientation toward learning and growth and repairing harm in the community. And I love that we have a student-centered vision. When I jumped on board late this August, the leadership team had already started to meet and had done visioning for this year and had created a graphic around hopes and dreams for where we were headed. And at the very center of that graphic was equitable outcomes for students. And to join a group that had started that process and to find that like I was already on that train car was really awesome. And it's really great to be able to bring back all of our conversations to that focus right there, equitable outcomes for students. And then, you know, so many other things, but I think most importantly is the fun and the energy that our students bring. I had come from working in an elementary school for a couple of years, which is amazingly fun too. And there's an energy there, and feeling the first day of school when the students came in the building, that energy and what it feels like with high school students is just, it's just amazing. You really notice the difference when the students aren't there, and it's not even the sounds of the band coming from that room, or the chatter in the cafeteria. It's like a hum and an energy, and when everything's sort of working together, there's a synergy, and I think a buzz that it just lifts everyone up, and it's just an amazing feeling. So that's a little bit about me, and I am going to pass it over to Levar.
Oh, that is me, my turn. Oh, good evening, all. My name is Levar Barino. I go by he, him, his. I am currently the Dean of Students, the Dean of 9th grade students here at BHS. It's a new position launch. I actually got my photo here is me and my mom the first day they actually dropped me off at Chapel Hill Chauncey Hall School in Waltham, Mass. I'm noticing there's a lot of Massachusetts connection amongst my team. But that's my first day, and this is my good friend in the picture below who actually saw me when I returned from my sophomore year to my junior year. I then decided to throw a nice little fun picture of me and my dad. I was a preemie, born premature. And it's good to see how resilient I was in overcoming many challenges, just like our students here at BHS. So my favorite part working at BHS, the morning greetings. Pre-COVID, it was about the 250 handshakes I was coming up with many students. Post-COVID, now it's a simple good morning, how are you, how you doing, what do you need, and what do you want in order to get through the day. So mainly connected with all students and staff. I love the energy and atmosphere of the school. The restorative practices. I love giving kids a fair chance to hear their voice. Being a trusting truth teller for all students. I try to bring to the table as a dean what I would want it from a dean or from a person who could meet me where I'm at, see some of my challenges, but also believe in me, be a champion in my corner no matter how wrong or right that I am, understanding school policies, but also helping me build school culture. I love the work I get to do every day to promote growth, change, and equity. I also love City Market gummies, which I also use to incentivize kids when they do right. You show me 100, I'll get you some gummies. If you could show me a class you're struggling in, but you're showing some consistency and trying and attending, I'm gonna get you some gummies. And I hope that's just a little start of building that connection and trust amongst the students and families, knowing that they're in good hands. And I would love to treat these kids the way I want to be treated in school, to reassure that they're going to graduate and be model citizens in the community. So thank you guys. And I'm passing it on to Q. Yes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Karon Pinckney. Everybody knows me as Q. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm originally from the Bronx, New York, but I went to school at St. Benedict's Prep in Newark, New Jersey. As you can see, my high school photo was our state championship team my senior year. I felt that was an appropriate photo to include in the high school photos because that kind of launched my trajectory to my journey to Vermont. I was recruited to play basketball at St. Mike's and receive an education. I fell in love with the place. Met some great people, and I've been here, this is year 14 years later. I'm still here building a life. My favorite part of working at BHS is, continuing to try to provide our students with as many diverse opportunities as possible. I'm thankful to be a part of this BHS leadership team. When Principal McBride got the official word that she was going to be the official principal last year, we had a meeting right away to touch base and, talk to her about how I could support in my role as the district head of athletics to provide a well-rounded, different lens to our leadership team that we haven't had in the past. And it's provided me a great opportunity to let our students know that, they can see themselves, and particularly our global majority students, they can see themselves in positions of leadership and that they can have influence and positive impact on their education and whatever their next dignified steps are, once they leave us at BHS. And I'm going to pass it back to Principal McBride.
I'm going to pass it on to Norm.
Norm.
No worries. Thank you, Q. Thank you, Lauren. Hi, I'm Norm Trombley. I grew up in Highgate, Vermont, about a mile from the Canadian border. Grew up on a dairy farm and went to Missisquoi Valley Union High School. Went to UVM after, actually I graduated in 1987 from Missisquoi. And as you can see from my high school photo, that's not my official senior photo. That was an alternate version, but I think that one has a lot more flair with the coat over the shoulder, obviously. And as you can see, I really haven't aged a minute since 1987. So after I went to Missisquoi, I went to UVM, got a degree in math, went back to UVM a few years later, got my teaching license, and in 1996 started at Burlington High School, and now I'm in my 26th year at the high school. I remember about 10 years in, there was kind of a threshold moment where I realized I wasn't asking questions anymore. I had other people asking me questions, and I kind of realized I turned the corner in that, oh, you're not a new teacher anymore. You're actually seen as one of the veteran teachers, and people come to you for advice and for pointers throughout the day and just for information. So for me at BHS, like it says, every day is challenging and rewarding and making connections with students. For example, today, there was a student that I had in the morning who was having a rough week, had a rough class, but then I saw them after school and we had a nice 5-minute conversation. We both kind of understood a little bit better where we're coming from. I found out what was actually going on, and we're going to see them again tomorrow morning. And they said, yes, tomorrow's going to be better. And, sorry for what happened this week, but I'm feeling a lot better. And thanks for talking with me. So just moments like that, when you get to see, a student, not just in class, but outside of class, and what they're really like, and get to know them on a more personal level, I think is one of the best parts of working at BHS. And then, as it says, helping out in any way possible. Like I said, when people come to me for advice or for help, I'm very, very thankful. I'm very forthcoming with anything that they need. So I'm now in my second year as the lead teacher in the math department, and even more than ever, I'm getting people asking me for advice and for help, and I really like it because it just keeps me busy throughout the day. So it's been quite a trip, and I'm very happy to be here tonight. And I'm going to leave it on that, and I'll pass it on to Ms. Walters.
Hi, folks. I'm Shannon Walters, the librarian at BHS, and oh gosh, I think it's Melanie we have to blame for these high school photos. I went to Fox Lane High School in Bedford, New York, and the only solo photo I could find online wasn't from my senior year, but it was from my volleyball team. I was the setter. I very rarely hit. They included a photo of me actually touching a ball over the net as a joke, and these things live in infamy. I am excited to be in our new building and getting moved in and really ready to work with our students. In the library, my day is never the same. So some days we may be working with 9th graders on identity projects. Sometimes we're working with AP Bio class students modeling the functions of an organelle. And I love that. And I love getting to see anywhere between 400 and 500 students a day. So we have lots of fun, and we'll talk a little bit more about it later. At this point, I think I get to pass it on to Ms. McBride.
So sorry about that. I was trying to find myself back in this. All right, so thank you, everyone. Thank you for, I guess, learning a little bit more about us. The rest of this meeting is going to be to really showcase some of the work that's happening. So I'm going to be talking to you over the next couple minutes about our RISE allocation, which is part of our equitable budgeting initiative, some enhancements that have been made to our programming, and also enhancements that we're working on as we look ahead to 22-23. Some capital improvements that are happening within the building, and then just give you a very quick sneak peek for BHS BTC 2025. So our RISE allocation. So one of the initiatives that was launched this year within our district was this RISE allocation as part of our equitable budgeting strategy. So the RISE allocation allowed us to really look at where are some areas that we have need, especially in improving outcomes for our most vulnerable students. And so we had a committee that was comprised of 17 committee members that met over the course of a couple months. Together and separately, we talked about what are some of our challenges, where are some areas that we think we can utilize funding to be able to enhance the opportunities for students as we look ahead to 22-23. There were about 19 proposals that were put through to the committee to consider. And from that, what you're seeing on here is how we have been able to identify utilizing our allocation as we prepare for school year 22-23. So we will be adding an additional reading specialist to our interventionists, as well as a STEM interventionist next year. So we've been really focusing on how do we help to support students that may be falling behind, may need some extra support in catching up, or in the moment may need some additional support. So we focused a lot on those on some of our intervention programs. We also will be adding a 1.0 FTE, so a full-time faculty that will be a mental health counselor. So I think one of the biggest challenges that we've identified throughout our time and really kind of like in the midst of this pandemic has been just the amount of stress and strain that this has put on our students. Additionally, we've seen staffing that has been impacted across the community, and with the need of mental health supports rising. So the committee deemed it appropriate to be able to find a mental health counselor that would be a BHS faculty member to provide on-site supports in a variety of ways. So we're really hopeful and excited about this position as we look ahead to 22-23. Additionally, we identified funding to really focus on co-teaching. Co-teaching is a model where you'll have one or more, or where you'll have two teachers that will be in a classroom. That could be an English language teacher or a special educator that's working with more of a generalized faculty member to enhance and provide support within the classroom for all of the students, being able to meet students where they are. So we'll be putting some funding, really diving in on professional development for faculty and staff to enhance those opportunities within our day-to-day classes. This year, we've been really focused on deeper learning. Our professional development through line this year has really been to understand what it means to provide instruction that enhances students' ability to learn in a way that's more hands-on and applicable to real life. And so as part of when we met, some of the proposals that came up was to provide this fund that allows faculty to access, where they can utilize funds to enhance like deeper learning opportunities within their curriculum. So maybe that means them being able to partner with a community member to go out and do something within the community. It may mean bringing people in. It could be utilized for resources or materials that could help students to engage in a way with content in a different way within the classroom. And so we're excited about that opportunity. And then finally, there was some funding that was for materials and resources to ensure that we are providing updated materials for our students in different contexts. This was a really important and beneficial, I guess, opportunity for us. I think the 17 committee members were really engaged and thoughtful and connected with other people within the community to think deeply. And I'm really hopeful and excited by the proposals that we've been able to put forward, and looking forward to having these new positions and also this flexibility as we look ahead to 22-23. And so kind of leading off of that, there's been some things that we've relaunched this year. And then also even though it is only February, we are already planning ahead and looking ahead to enable or to support us having a strong start for 22-23. So this year we've we've invested back in our faculty. Like, as I mentioned at the beginning of this, our faculty is diverse and has really deep knowledge, and they're experts in many different ways. And so this year we've relaunched professional learning communities. We call them PLCs. So faculty meet in cross-department PLCs, and they're all looking at different aspects of our community and programming for students that we think we can enhance. And they're collectively, working together to put through proposals that we are looking to incorporate as we move ahead. Additionally, we have committees. We relaunched our committees this year. So faculty also have joined so every faculty and staff also is part of a committee where they may be looking at supporting our YES program and planning for that. Or they may be looking at our credit recovery and how we can look at that system and refine it and enhance it. All of this work is really thinking about the programs that we have and thinking about how we can tweak, refine, and increase opportunities, like really thinking about our students at the core. So those meet on an every other week basis, and the work has been really powerful that's coming out of those committees, and we continue to see more movement with them, as the year goes on. Currently, as I mentioned, we're already preparing for next year, so we're like really kind of knee deep in on the initial launch of a lot of different work that's happening. We are partnering with a group called the Ability Challenge to look at our special education programming. And when I say that, I mean that we're really looking at how we can support our students that may be on an IEP or a 504 within our community and across the whole school. So it's looking at the programming of that department, but really also the practices that we have at our school. And so this group will be coming in to be with us for a week, and they're going to be looking at a lot of different aspects of our community and providing us with recommendations on how we can continue to refine and enhance programming as we move forward. So we are preparing for their site visit very soon. Next Wednesday, we have a consulting group that is coming in to really focus in on our counseling department and also look at our overall student supports to think about, like, how are we meeting the needs of our students and where are some areas that we can potentially like reframe, refocus, or enhance to be able to ensure that we have a cohesive system that's meeting students, that is providing the supports that all students need in a way that's meaningful. So you have probably received a survey. There was another one that came out in your email today. If you have not done that, I would encourage you to take the time to complete that survey. It's really important information that will help us as we meet with this group. When they come next week, they'll be meeting with a lot of different groups of kind of mini focus groups to be able to learn a lot of information and then again provide us with some recommendations for next steps. And then, as I mentioned before, we have these new positions that will be forming or that will be adding to our faculty as we look ahead to next year. So we're really taking some time right now to kind of take a step back and look at the different interventions that we have and the programs that we have that support students and think about how we can thoughtfully integrate these new positions in a way that is cohesive with our programming and also is able to fulfill a need that may be missing. And so we are really in the throes of some planning. We're looking at models at other schools of what works to be able to ensure that the job descriptions that we're crafting and the positions that we're looking to fill are meaningful and complementing what we already have. So that's just some of the things that we're looking at right now. It's really exciting. This kind of creative work, I think, provides us with it's going to provide us with a lot of opportunities to enhance the experience that our students have and really be able to complement the work that's already happening. So we're excited by the feedback that we're going to receive and then using that to really continue to forge ahead and enhance just the overall experience for our students at BHS. Capital improvements. So I just wanted to provide a quick update. We are just about in less than a month about to hit our 1 year anniversary of being in our downtown BHS home. And so there's still, even though we're in it for about a year, it's just like when you move into any place, you kind of settle in and you figure out what areas are really working, and then what areas do we really need to continue to ensure that we are putting funding in to be able to make those improvements as we need. Some of the things that you'll notice is some of the aesthetics. So we had a mural that was recently completed with a local artist where students were able to be part of that project. So you can see the mural behind the students there. And then we also have these other murals that have kind of come up over the last week or so that really showcase and embrace who we are at Burlington. So there's a lot of life that's coming to those white walls. And there's a couple other murals and different pieces of art that we're working on as we move into the spring that's really student driven, which I think is amazing. Like, this is our students' home. This isn't our home as adults that we're trying to do something for students. This is their home. And I think providing the opportunities for them to create and have a hand in making their home is really powerful. And all of these things are also on wooden planks or canvas, so that way we can take them with us when we relocate to our new home in a couple of years. Additionally, the school board has approved $500,000 in capital improvements that will begin to occur this summer within the building, which we are so grateful for. So some of the things that we're looking at is sound mitigation. We did some work on that this summer. There's still some areas that are problematic. So we're still looking at sound mitigation, ensuring that all of our offices and any remaining classroom that may not have a door has a door, and a couple other, areas that we're looking at on top of that. So it's really exciting. It's hopeful that, even though this is a temporary home for your children, like, this is their permanent home that they'll know for high school. And we are invested in ensuring that this building is conducive to their learning, and will continue to make enhancements that are beneficial for kids as we go. So BHS and BTC 2025. So there's going to be a virtual kickoff next week that more information will be coming. So I believe next Thursday night, next Thursday, there will be a community meeting that's offered that will really start to launch this project. So be on the lookout for invitations that will be coming from the district very soon. But I want to let you know that that this project is underway. So at the beginning of January, there was a retreat that happened with our faculty, some community members and students, where we were able to engage in a really big visioning project with our architects for the first time. Additionally, there's been a steering committee that's starting now to meet twice a month. That's really helping to work with the architects. And again, this is comprised of community members and students and faculty and staff from both BHS and BTC. And so they are, again, working together to think about what the big vision and the hopes are for this building. And then again, myself, Director Gingold, who is our director over at BTC, Director Nathan Lavery, and Director Marty Spalding from Property Services also meet weekly with our architects as we are beginning to look at what are the needs that we have in terms of programming. So classrooms, what are and really being able to start that process. So there will be more to come next week, but I just wanted to give you a quick teaser that there's a lot of work underway right now, and it's exciting to have students be part of this work and have their voice be heard throughout some of these different things. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Norm, our lead teacher for mathematics department.
Thank you, Lauren. Appreciate it. And welcome back, everyone. And what I'd like to do in the next few minutes is just simply share a couple bits of good news that have happened in the math department over the last year. So what we noticed was that a lot of our students in our Algebra 2 courses, which is mainly for juniors and seniors, over the past, say, 5 years, were having some struggles. And we were having to review a lot of Algebra 1 at the start of the year, and we weren't quite getting through the curriculum, and we weren't really doing a service to them with the class. And a lot of teachers are mentioning, is there a way to have them better prepared coming in? In tandem with that, the district, in one of their 6 goals, goal number 4 was, or is, more students have successful completion of Algebra 2. So given the fact that the district set it as a goal and we ourselves had seen a need, what we decided was to pilot and to implement 2 new courses here at Burlington High School. So what we're doing is we're taking the algebra and geometry courses, and we're still teaching algebra and geometry, but we're now going to blend them together into 2 years into what we're going to call Integrated Math 1 and Integrated Math 2. So all of the algebra and geometry skills are still there, but now in a more thematic format, so that the students will see algebra every year, so that they're not missing a year of algebra and needing to do a full review. And what we're finding also is we're finding a new curriculum. We found what's called eMath instruction, which is not our sole curriculum, but it is much more intuitive, and it offers a lot more opportunity for the students to understand how to go deeper into the problems. It's wordy, but it's not too wordy. It's just the right kind of rigor for the students, so that they're going to be prepared for the harder questions coming up in Algebra 2. What we're also offering is that for the students who need extra supports and interventions, we're going to offer a half-credit elective lab for them, so that they can get the extra help that they need. This will be likely in their schedule for about 35 minutes, because it blocks about 75 minutes during one of their study hall periods, hopefully on the off day that they don't have the normal class. We've been piloting this year in our algebra courses. It's been going well. Obviously, whenever you pilot a new course, there's going to be a few kinks in it, and we're working out what the exact order of topics is going to be, because we're trying to blend in the proper geometry topics within the first year and then again within the second year. What the other good news is that this year we have hired, and they are now working here second semester, we've hired a math specialist to help with interventions this year. What we found was that within our math courses specifically, there were a lot of students who needed extra help. But then also what we're finding is there are a lot of students who are just kind of hanging out during the day in the lab or in the library or down in the student support center who also needed help. So there was an opportunity to say, wait, we should have someone who's available for them no matter what block of the day to give them math help. So one of our student teachers that we had in the fall semester, we have hired now for our math specialist. Her name is Meredith Golden, and she is available basically out of the blocks of the day. There's only 2 blocks a week she's not here. So she's here every day. There's only 2 days a week she comes in block 2, but every other block of the day, she is available for math help, either for appointment by teachers who specifically assign them to her, or as just a walk-in. And now that the word is out, her room is bumping, as they say. It is very busy in there, and she's been talking about the great successes she's been having, and talking about how a lot of students are mentioning, wow, working with you, Ms. Golden, has really helped me out. I'm really turning my grades around. I'm turning my understanding around. And this kind of leads into what we're hoping to do next year by having that extra lab section, so that these students get that support and feel a lot more successful and have an opportunity to really get back up to grade level as needed. So those are the 2 new things. There's plenty of other things to share from the math department, but I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to pass it on to Ms. Walters from the library.
Thanks, Norm. I'm wondering if it makes sense to surface 2 questions from the chat about math, though, while we're on the math subject. And there was a question about whether the math labs also supported students taking honors math as well.
Thank you. Yes, I see that in the chat. The Honors Algebra 2 course still remains as it is. So the Honors Algebra 2 course is still for students who mostly are starting in freshman geometry and then will take Honors Algebra 2 their sophomore year. They will be able to go to the drop-in lab as needed, but the extra 0.5 lab is for the Math 1 and Math 2 courses only, for those students who need the extra help to get in there. So the lab is there for anyone, but really the 0.5 credit will only be for students who are deemed by either the middle school teachers now or by the current teachers who recommend them to need that extra 0.5. Hope that answers your question. Oh, and then the second question, I'm sorry. Will the lab section especially be available for students? So yes, they will be available no matter what throughout the day.
Great. And I to share a little bit about the library. We are about 70% moved in our new digs at downtown BHS, which is exciting. We've got books on the shelves. Repurposing the old China department means that the lighting makes our books pop, and we are seeing circulation just soar. We are also not in separate buildings the way we were in our old campus. And so students are walking by on a regular basis and popping in to grab materials. So we are absolutely loving that. We also have our computer lab up and running so that students have access to networked computers, which are literally 100 times faster than our Chromebooks, and they're able to access special software. So they're getting to work on their Adobe Creative Cloud projects, they're working on videos, and sometimes the room's pretty hopping, which is nice. So we're in place. We're also taking advantage of the fact that that we are downtown and we are close to the Fletcher Free Library, which is a gorgeous public community library. So their teen librarian, Abby Kozalowski, has been joining us to table, make sure that as many of our students as possible can get library cards, doing a lot of updating from their elementary school visits and getting them hooked up with their resources that our community is already investing in. So we're super excited about those things, and still making runs back to the old building to grab materials as needed. So we're looking forward to being finally moved over, but feeling like things are really accessible for students, which is great. If we can go to the next slide, I went all images today, no bullet points. I figured it was better to show than tell, but our students are really underway. So you'll see students creating everything from giant blow up projects for their classes. On the left, we have students who had a fascinating project for the dystopian lit class where they took images of Burlington and particularly the old campus and the pit, but all around Burlington to model. And this is a mosaic image of thousands of images that create a larger image that they framed and mounted and put on the wall. We've had a variety of classes come in to do podcasting and video and photography recording. Since we had the light setups, we have the green screen fully set up for students to use as well. So we're excited about that. Again, being downtown means that we're just one bus ride away from our partners at the Media Factory out on Flynn Avenue. So we've been borrowing equipment from them and getting our students to use that. And students are finding us for some relaxing and recharging. So our chessboards are in hot demand, and you might see students hard at work in one corner and then turn around and see students connecting with each other around a game. So that's super fun. If we can move on to the next slide, again, out of those silos, we might see students from a biology class sampling our shelves because we see a lot of traffic to see what sort of things will grow on their cultures. We're seeing students who are popping in with a little bit of curiosity. We've got some students in the lower left-hand corner who found a mystery box on our shelves and discovered that curiosity does bring rewards. We again, pop-up games of all kinds, so some giant chess happening. We have a group of seniors who were, I think, studying for AP World History, who also discovered that we've got Legos that we use for some modeling, particularly with our physical computing classes. And we have a large construction there too, because you're never too old for Legos. And then finally, we're still finding ways to get students to do and use our makerspace tools. So we had some students who created original awards for this year's cross-country event that Burlington hosted at Catamount. So lots of things going on. And again, being smack in the middle of the second floor means that students, they can't miss us. And it's super exciting to see the different projects that they are willing to dive into while they're walking by or saying, oh, wait, maybe they can help me with this. So that's our super quick update for the library. We're looking forward to what adventures next week's classes will bring us to.
Shannon, I am coming to the library because I want to find a curiosity box. Just
okay.
Now. Thank you so much. That was so great. So again, hi, I'm Melanie. I have I'm basically working aside from all the other things that assistant principals do in terms of making relationships and engaging parents, I'm working on two major initiatives. One is helping students revise, or students and faculty really revise our handbook, as well as reforming our attendance and expectations, attendance, our requirements and our expectations around there. And I love the visual of really remaking what we're doing. So I have a quick quiz for our parents and actually for the faculty who are on here. Just take a moment. The question is, do we lose any of these elements? And actually these are excerpted directly from the student handbook. So do we lose anything here? What do we keep? And what do we revise? These are the three questions that students and faculty will be engaging in the next, during this next semester. So as you take a moment and you read only one of those excerpts, what do you think? Do we keep, lose, or revise? Wait time of like 3 more seconds.
Do you want people to throw it in the chat?
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yes. So throw your number and whether you keep, lose, or revise. Put it in the chat.
I see number 1, keep. Let's see what else. Don't be shy, go for it. Number 3, keep.
We need a number 2 and number 4, Lauren, before I can move on.
No. I have
Nice.
another 3 and another keep number 3. Yeah, lots of info to process. I agree. 2 is actually not a policy, it's a reminder. Okay, reminder.
Excellent. So absolutely. So, and they all look fine to me is the one attendees. So actually, everybody is correct here. So we are keeping all of these policies, I would imagine, in our handbook. Of course, due process, the number 1 piece that keeps students' rights front and center. Number 2, in terms of the reminder, absolutely. I believe that all of our policies need a preamble to remind people of the importance about why a policy is in existence. We all know that when our kids ask us to do something and we say, because I say so, it doesn't really go over that well. It always helps to have a reminder about why we're asking them to do things. Of course, you know, we want to make sure that students' First Amendment rights are always front and center. And we want to make sure that everyone knows that they have a voice in our school. So we will be keeping all of these policies, though they may have some, you know, revisions. Our handbook right now, I think, is over 60 pages long. And we want to make sure that the handbook is a living document, that both students and faculty are able to refer to the handbook when something is going right, when something's not going right, when they want to make a change. And we also want to make sure that families are well aware of the rights of their students. You know, I'm a parent myself, and I know that there were many times where I had to consult the handbook on my student's behalf, whether she had done something that needed correcting or she did something that was really important to acknowledge. So thank you for not even playing along, because this is a really serious process, which I'm looking very much forward to leading. Next slide. So thank you. So the second initiative is around attendance expectations and requirements. The reality is that students have been out of school for a long time. They haven't really done, you know, the traditional 5 days in with everyone in a school building for a long time, and have developed some habits that need correcting. So it's about time, and it's a good time to look at our attendance expectations and make sure that everyone's on the same page. So we've come up with 4 criteria for reforming our attendance expectations. One, we want to make sure that everyone's holding each other accountable, like teachers, taking attendance every day, of course, taking accurate attendance. And then for students, making sure that they understand the relationship between attendance and performance. It is very hard. It should be very hard to not sit in a seat and learn all this amazing content that teachers are preparing, and benefiting from the conversation and preparation that their fellow peers have been engaging in when they're not there. We want to make sure that we are consistent in terms of structuring how our attendance policies are encouraging students to do better and to really engage. Just a quick example, we have a couple new attendance codes this year, which some of you may have already seen. One is TX, which means you're really late for class. It is, we all know how important it is to be on time, and very late, there needs to be a discussion around that. And when kids leave class, we have all done a lap around for whatever reason. Maybe we go to the bathroom and then we see a friend, and then et cetera, et cetera. But the fact is that when you leave class, you got to get back to class quickly. So those are two new attendance codes. So we're doing some work on that. So the essential question, I think, for this reform issue is really, what are the implications for missing class? So there likely should be some grade implications, right? So the question, Lauren McBride, how does she feel like she can earn high marks in my class if she's not there for 25% of the time? And when she misses class and misses assessments, like, this is all part of high expectations for all students. So we want to make sure that it's across the board, that our students understand that there are grading implications around attendance, as well as our teachers and our families. Next slide, Lauren, please. And back to the essential question, are there credit implications for missing class? We want to make sure that teachers are able to maintain the integrity of their courses, that a grade of an 85 in my class is the same as a grade of an 85 in Shannon's class, is the same, because we want to make sure that kids are really engaging in similar ways. And when kids miss significant amounts of time attending to lessons and discussions and assessments, it really takes away from their learning. So those are two things to kind of bring more consistency to our grading, to our attendance policy, and to how students are engaging with their rights and responsibilities. So the best part is that student voice and faculty voice are front and center in those reform efforts. Thank you.
So this is Kate Paxton again, and I'm going to build on a little bit of what Melanie talked about with attendance and engagement. And I think what this speaks to is that when we're looking at attendance and engagement, it's really a whole bunch of issues and variables that come to play in looking at whether students come to school and how engaged they're able to be in learning. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, and also a little bit about the course selection process. Next slide, please. Thank you. As Melanie said, we've been reviewing policies and procedures, and in addition to looking at our student handbook, we're also looking at how our policies and procedures in the high school are aligning with the district and the other schools in the district. That is a big undertaking with all of our different schools and procedures that have evolved over many years. And so both wanting to maintain the importance of schools having their own individual ways of doing things that have evolved for good reasons, as well as the need to have some consistency, both to make sure that we're on where we are being consistent with our expectations for students across the district, and then we're also being fair. I think a piece that we've been looking at and working on is our communications with families around attendance. and making sure that we are balancing the right amount of communication in making sure that families are notified, and also noting that we have a lot of students in our building and there are good and legitimate reasons that students are out sometimes. And so we don't want to be barraging you and causing, you know, your phone to ring off the hook multiple times each day. And at the same time, we want to make sure we've got the right checks and balances so that you're aware if your child is not in the building when they're expected to be, and that our communication between home and school is really solid. One of the things that connects to what I love about BHS and about the vision for the district is that our focus here is really on re-engagement and care. And so in addition to tightening up our procedures on holding students accountable for being where they're supposed to be, we also recognize that this is an unprecedented time. We're dealing with COVID, we're dealing with sickness, we're dealing with a lot of mental health challenges, and how we can provide a caring, sensitive, supportive response in addition to that level of accountability. And I think the last big piece here is that we are finding that so many of our students and families are finding themselves challenged with mental health issues across a spectrum of concerns and challenges, and looking at how we can both partner with outside organizations as well as strengthen our supports in the building to create social emotional opportunities, to connect with family caregivers when that's appropriate, and something that we can do to strengthen the homeschool team. And as Lauren talked about with the RISE allocation, how we can increase the amount of mental health support that we can provide in the building. Next slide, please. Sorry, you're already ahead of me. Okay, and so the course registration process. Many of you hopefully have received the information that we are in the midst of students requesting courses for next year, students who are not seniors who will be coming back next year. And this is my first time around with this process in a high school. And so as I've been both coordinating and observing how that process works, one of our the main things that we're looking at is opportunities for parents and caregivers to be involved in that conversation with your children around what courses they're interested in, what pathways they are on for after high school, to strengthen our communication with you around what courses are provided, what our schedule looks like. So that is something that we're doing also with an eye to how we can strengthen these systems moving into next year. A big conversation that we've been having with our faculty this year is how to really encourage students to dream big and to take those advanced and honors courses, to talk with faculty about the prerequisites and the requirements for those courses so that we can help identify students who are ready for them, who have what it takes but may need a little extra encouragement, students who may have concerns about whether they will be welcome in some courses that they haven't taken in the past, and how we can really increase access so that all students feel comfortable and feel that they have the opportunity to pursue those goals that they have both in school as well as after high school. And as I mentioned, we're really looking ahead to next year in terms of what system improvements we need to make. I expect that we're going to be doing a deep dive into curriculum, and as we've looked at the course request process for this year and worked on revising the program of studies for next year, we will be talking more with our faculty and with our leadership team around the depth and breadth of the courses that we offer, our course progression, our flexible pathways, and to provide more opportunities for our families, for our community, for our parents and our students to tell us what courses you want to take, what pathways you want to see available and strengthened, so that we can continue to work on improving our systems and our programs to reflect what students need and what students and families want. And with that, I will turn it to, I'm not sure who's next. Lauren, maybe back to you.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you. I just want to say, I as I'm sitting here listening to all of this, I am so impressed with our team. It's hard to believe that we are still in all of our first years together as a leadership team at BHS. The work that's happening behind the scenes, hopefully you are as inspired by as we are. I am so just in awe and grateful for the leadership and for the strength and the vision and just the courage to kind of dream big and do things differently, even though we still are coming together as a team. So there's a lot of work that's happening. We are so excited for all of these things that we're looking at and we're analyzing, and we're not afraid to kind of like pull back and say, like, this needs a change, and like, let's do it, and let's do it well, to be able to support our students in a variety of ways. So, so thank you to my team for all of that and for all that you bring every day. And so what I want to do is just put a couple things, like, as we continue to move through this year, like things that are happening now. So this next section is kind of like on your radar. So year-end studies are coming back this year. Yay. We also known as our YES program. Our YES program happens YES will run from May 25th to June 8th. So our regular school year ends, and then we go into our YES offerings that run up right until like the day before or 2 days before graduation. Registration will begin in March for our different programs. Students either sign up for 2 half-day sessions or 1 full-day session. Over the course of the YES, we also offer credit recovery for students as well. So there'll be more information coming out in March, but we do want to let you know that YES is back, and there's been a lot of planning on how to make sure that we can have a really strong restart with YES. I think the one thing that's hard this year is that we are not going to be able to offer some of the travel that we've offered in the past. But we know that that will come back. And this has provided us a really amazing opportunity to really roll up our sleeves and connect with our community partners to think about how we can work with different people within and around Burlington through this program. So more to come, but know that students will be getting those course catalogs after they come back from February break, and will be able to sign up for classes for YES sessions then. Also, winter formal. So we had to postpone our winter formal, obviously, that was supposed to happen at the end of January due to the Omicron surge. And we are really excited to announce that that it is not canceled, that we are still having our winter formal. Winter formal is now scheduled for Saturday, March 19th at the DoubleTree Hotel in South Burlington. This dance will be open to grades 9 through 12. We still are operating under guidance, within trying to make sure that we're keeping our community safe. And so we are, for this dance will be a BHS dance only. There won't be dates that are allowed from other Chittenden County schools. We've been aligned with our Chittenden County neighbors for this as we've looked at our winter formals. So just to put that out there, we will be requiring vaccination cards that will be needed at the time of purchase. I know that I want to thank our community and for those that have sent their updated vaccination cards as we moved through the last month or so. So I know that our nurses have that, but in terms of our winter formal, we will be requiring vaccination cards at the time of ticket purchase. We also will be handing out rapid antigen tests that will be given to anyone that receives a ticket. So that way they can test the day of the formal. Again, just to ensure that our community is staying safe during this time. And we're excited to be able to have this for the first time in 2 years. We are ready and looking forward to March 19th. Also on the radar, testing. So we've changed the way that we're doing our testing this year. And so we wanted to put this out there and have this on everyone's radar. There will be more communication coming out about this in the coming weeks. Typically in the spring, we have a lot of disruptions with just different tests that are happening, whether it's standardized from the state or ACT, pre-ACT. And so this year we have tried to be able to provide the space to do testing for all of our students, and also limit instructional disruptions, but also provide really valuable space for students to be able to access and take these tests in a way that is supportive and quiet, and allows them to do their best thinking. So April 5th and 6th will be our testing days. The way that our schedule will work on these days is that our tests, our 9th, 10th, and 11th graders will be testing in the morning. And then they are able to leave for an early release day once their testing is done. And then the afternoon will be allocated for our seniors to do their PLP, their personalized learning plans, their conferences, which is part of their graduation requirements. So the PLP conferences, where they meet with faculty and staff in the building to talk about all their amazing high school journey, will happen on those afternoons. We will be putting out information to our students. So 9th, 10th, and 11th graders that want to participate and sit in on senior conferences to be able to see what a finished PLP looks like. Also hear some of the amazing things that their soon to be graduate or graduating peers have done throughout the course of their time at BHS, that they will have the opportunity to participate in those conferences on a team if they'd like, and they can also earn community service hours for that. So more information will be going out to students about this, but we wanted to put this on everyone's radar. So the 5th will be SBAC ELA for grade 9. Pre-ACT will be happening also on April 5th for all of our 10th graders. And those students that are opting in to take ACT will also be testing on the 5th. On the 6th, we'll have SBAC math testing that will be occurring. Our 10th graders will be able to take the SMI, which will be providing us with really solid data for our math, about where we are in math and how we can continue to enhance and enrich opportunities for students, within the math department and math classes. And then our Vista Science 11th grade exam will happen on April 6th as well. So more to come, but we wanted to use this opportunity to just put this on people's radar. And finally, graduation. We are already planning graduation as well. Our graduation is scheduled currently for June 10th, and it will be outside at 52 Institute Road. So if anyone saw our ceremony or drove by the old BHS last year, we will be having a very similar setup this year, where our ceremony will be outside. We will have a rain date, and just in case the weather doesn't cooperate, last year was a perfect day that it wasn't too hot, it was a little overcast, and it provided a really amazing twist and change for how we've done graduation, that we wanted to continue that tradition this year. So graduation is scheduled for June 10th at the original BHS, and more information will be to come, but just to put that on people's radar. And finally, here are just some important dates. We know that things happen really fast in the lives of our high schoolers. And so there are some important dates for things that are happening kind of like upcoming, but as you look over the course of the coming months. Next week is our BHS musical, The Mystery of Edwin, Drood. I'm really excited about this one. It's a Charles Dickens, one of his plays that was left with multiple endings. So our audience gets to choose how or what ending they want. And so our students that are really working hard right now preparing for the musical are also preparing all of these different endings of, you know, of the who done it mystery. So it's going to be really fun. It's going to be exciting. It is at in the auditorium at the original BHS. And our opening day is next Wednesday, February 16th, and the show will run Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week. So please, we encourage you to come and support our students and also engage interactively in our musical. February break is right around the corner. February 21st through March 1st is when our students will be on February break. So just wanted to remind people for that. I'm sure everyone knows that, but just in case. Credit recovery. So more information is going to be coming about this. Our parent-teacher conferences are slated for March 17th and 18th. One of the things that we are looking to do is also provide opportunities for students to engage in credit recovery during the parent-teacher conference window. So more information will be coming out about that, but just to have that on your radar. I just mentioned the testing and our PLP conferences, which will have a special schedule on April 6th and April 5th and 6th. Then we go back into April break, April 18th to the 22nd. And then we finish up our normal semester 2 finishes on May 24th. And then our YES program launches on May 25th, running through June 8th, with our graduation slated for June 10th. Obviously, if there are snow days or other things that impact our schedule, we will be making adjustments as those plans come out, but this is our schedule right now as it stands. And so I know that there are a couple, I know we're also over time, so thank you for hanging in with us as we've gone over a little bit. And I'm not sure if there's looks like a couple maybe last questions that we have. I'm not sure or do we kind of answer them all as we went?
We tried to answer things as they came up naturally,
Okay.
but
Great.
folks could raise their hand. They could throw things in the chat. We can
Maybe take a couple more.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll hang on for a couple more minutes, but for those of you that are ready to kind of continue on with your night, we want to thank you. We hope that you found this informative and provided a little bit of information about things that are happening behind the scenes. We also wanted to have you meet us in a more kind of like familiar way. And we do look forward to being able to open up in a lot of different ways as we continue through this year and next. But thank you for entrusting us with your children. We love this job and we take this job incredibly, seriously and personally, as we all are in this to ensure that our students have the best access to an education that they can have and that these years are meaningful for them. So thank you for all the work that you do to support us and to support them. We couldn't do this without you. And yes, if there's any additional questions, we'll kind of stick around for another minute, but otherwise, thank you. Have a good night and we will see you soon.
We seem to have a shy audience, but they're saying lots of thank yous, and it's really as saying thank you to all of you.
So thank you.
Have a great night, everyone.
All right, thank you.
There is a question in the chat, Principal McBride, about having a special ed meeting and whether a special ed meeting is scheduled.
So I'm curious about a little bit more about what that means. If we had for incoming parents. So our special educators do meet with our incoming families as the spring continues on. So yes, they do have that on their plans.
And transition meetings are happening now between teachers at the high school and the middle schools to get a sense of students who are on IEPs and 504s at the middle schools, so we can get a better sense of how to support. That's the first step with those transitions, and then absolutely having those connections with families as we get closer on in the spring.
And so Megan, maybe we can connect, you know, at another time about that specifically, but we continue to work with our special education. Again, I'm retreating with them tomorrow, really around the programming and vision and mission. So yes, that is active work that we are working on.
If I can throw in a personal comment, having worked at both the elementary school level with some of our students who are coming up to us next year, our high school special ed team is pretty phenomenal. They just really bend over backwards to connect with our students. So you'll get more specific details, but I just wanted to make that plug.
Are you on the call?
I am on my call. I'm just finishing.
We still have a few attendees who are still with us hanging on. So I'm just going to jump in again and say, if you have a question, please do feel free to put it in the chat or raise your hand. Otherwise, I don't want to keep people hanging on if they stepped aside to eat a bite of dinner while we were presenting. So I don't want to kick anybody out if they've got questions.
All right, I think what we can do is go ahead and log off for tonight. So thank you, everyone. Our team, BHS, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your night. We'll see you tomorrow.
Mom?